David wanted to create a new region for growing grapes, and so he employed an old university friend who was a soil scientist to search around New Zealand for a spot to plant a vineyard. And after a couple of years they discovered this site here and decided that that was the place to grow. Our site is like two rolling hills, and so they planted more of the Pinot and the Pinot Gris and the Riesling on the higher, warmer slopes, and the Sauvignon Blanc on the lower, cooler slopes. This site is actually in like a small bowl of a valley, if you like, so we're quite close to the coast, but we have hills across over here on the coastline which protects us from that easterly maritime breeze. The soils are compacted loose on top of alluvial gravels. Loose being the wind-blown dust and dirt over centuries that's been blown down the riverbeds or the old glacial terraces and it's just built up. It's quite a little microclimate here. We can be very, very hot in the summer and vice versa in spring when the hills around us have got snow on them, we're subject to frost.
So this vineyard's different from any other vineyard I've been in. Most people when they're developing a vineyard, they cut down all the trees, level all the ground out, but we've tried to keep it as natural as possible.
We've just utilised the land, we haven't interfered with it, so we haven't bulldozed anywhere. We've just worked with the layout of the land and planted accordingly to that. So what we're trying to do is have a concentrated crop level, so our vines are a metre apart and in 2 metre row spacings. Literally means we don't have to go for a high crop load on the vine itself because we have more than enough vines in a normal hectare that you would have, for instance, with our Sauvignon Blanc. There's obviously a lot more handwork, but we find it's a pretty good balance that the vines are less vigorous, produce a nice, healthy, spaced crop loading, and we're not pushing them too hard. We're focusing the energy of the vine into a small amount of bunches versus a whole lot of bunches on, say, a Sauvignon Blanc vine. Accredited as part of Sustainable Wine Growing New Zealand, which is a process where you get audited every year until you're established as following guidelines under the principles of Sustainable Wine Growing New Zealand. We are looking after our environment. We try not to use any harsh chemicals here. We spray seaweed onto the vines once every 10 days. What New Zealand Wine is looking for and sustainable wine growing is to show that you are being a responsible caregiver of the land.
We start the start of the season by pruning. What we're doing is we're pruning the vine so we can place the fruit where we want to place it. So we're not searching up and down, we know exactly where it is along the vine. So here we have our classic Pinot vine. It is cane prune. What we do when we're pruning, we're looking at removing all this here, try and find a new cane, and then once it's laid down, then it turns into a cordon. The reason why we prune is to control where we want this fruit to end up. If we didn't prune, we'll have fruit coming up the top, coming down the bottom, coming along the side, therefore the fruit only grows here. So this here is spur pruning. Instead of laying down a whole new cane, we're reusing this cordon. These sites here, that's where the bud has germinated from, and every year we cut it. So we can control where the fruit hangs by where we cut through the cane.
When you talk about terroir, it's about everything that encompasses the site. That's the weather, the trees, the land. I also believe that people are part of that terroir because it requires passion and energy for all this to happen, and that's why I say they're part of the terroir.
Now I like coming to work because of the contour of the land, the people that are here. It's just got this amazing feel about it when you're out in the vines. It's not one flat bit of dirt, it's got character really. That's what I like about it.